Welcome to Super Rant Season 1 Doomsday Preppers. Here we rewatch superhero movies to explore how they build towards bigger stories, starting with Avengers Doomsday and the MCU. Welcome to Super Rant. This is the podcast where we are rewatching movies as we prepare for Avengers Doomsday coming this December.
My name's Kevin. I'm a lead writer for Screen Rant.
And my name is Brian, and I'm glad to be here today. Today is a special episode because we are starting the MCU proper with Iron Man. Came out in 2008, was a phenomenal movie, just great movie. I think most people would agree that's pretty good. But yeah, there's a lot to talk about today, so we're going to get right into it. But as always, if you haven't watched Iron Man yet, we will be talking spoilers. The movie did come out in 2008, but anyways, we're just talking about it. So please go watch before you watch this, so that way you can participate in the conversation and know what we're talking about. All right. So first off, I have to say that this movie has one of the coolest openings of any movie ever.
It's pretty stellar. I love
it.
We
are introed to these military vehicles moving down this road with Back in Black, and it's just like, man, this is the coolest, just like, the vibes are there immediately.
The entire conversation that Tony Stark has with these soldiers in the Humvee, you couldn't establish the tone of who Tony Stark is and who Robert Downey Jr. is as Tony Stark. Like, you couldn't do it better.
Yeah. You have to show his confidence, his arrogance, how he approaches the idea and concept of war versus peace. Mm-hmm. It's so cool. And then the explosion happens, and he's on the side of the road, and then we get all the backstory of how he ended up there. You show his life with, reporters and
award shows and not even showing up.
Yeah, and just he is just so above anything else in his life.
Mm-hmm.
And this is a cool movie because over the course of the film, he is forced to look at who he is and what his company is, and he has to come to this realization of what he has been complicit in just by allowing it to happen. And so he's forced to look at terrorism and refugees and the part that he played in that, and he has to decide in no uncertain terms who he wants to be as a person.
He's finally faced with the consequences of his legacy and what his company actually does, and it's such a solid foundation for who is our first Marvel superhero in this massive shared universe.
Yeah, in the MCU, he was the first.
It's very cool. I found myself really just... It's always fun rewatching Marvel movies because you get to watch it and then think about everything that comes after it.
Right, and what it's going to lead into. And so you start thinking about Iron Man 2 and Avengers.
Yeah, or even just the fact that, like, you have Paul Bettany as Jarvis in this movie. And you're like, this is so great. And yet it's, we're still 8 years away from when he becomes... 7 years away from when he becomes Vision.
Yeah.
And just small stuff like that. It's just, where things are headed, and it's so cool to see where it all started and began.
Right. And on that note, too, like, you can also think about the comics that have inspired stuff like this.
Mm-hmm.
Because, this definitely is a mixture of the original comics, but also the Ultimate Universe comics, which came out in 2000.
Yeah.
And so, like, the whole Jarvis being a computer thing, that's a
fairly recent,
very Ultimate Universe style thing to do. And then we have Nick Fury at the end of the movie, which we can talk about. But that's very Ultimate Universe Nick Fury as opposed to the core universe Nick Fury.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And that's really fun. And so, there's a lot that's really great about this movie, from the CGI that still really holds up, to the very, like, real, believable sets that they've made.
Yeah.
To the acting, to the fight scenes, to the storytelling. All of that's really cool.
The practical Iron Man suit.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And, it's...
Nanotech is cool, but the practical Iron Man suit.
Well, and that's a question I had. The nanotech versus the built suit. The nanotech is very cool.
Mm-hmm.
And it's cool to see him progress his suits to that point. But, like, this core version of Iron Man is always going to be the best version of the
Yeah, there's just that added level of realism.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I mean, we can talk in circles really about how awesome this movie is. But I think most people recognize that it's a great movie.
Oh, yeah.
So I don't think we need to get too much into detail about, like, how
great it is.
Yeah, oh my gosh. Like, we don't need to be, praising this movie to death because it's already been done for, the past 14 years or so. And so my question is, what would you rate this movie on a scale of 1 to 10? As, like, not necessarily as a superhero movie or, like, as a Marvel movie, but just, like, as a movie in general.
As a movie in general?
Yeah, because this one, it wasn't concerned with really setting up a universe or connecting to a lot of other things.
At least not until the very end.
Well, in the very end, that was more of just a fun thing that they decided to throw in there,
and
not realizing the potential that it had.
Yeah.
So just as a movie, 1 out of 10, where would you place this?
I'm going to give it an 8.
Okay, yeah,
I think it deserves an 8.
I think that's reasonable. Every movie's going to have its flaws, and a 10 out of 10 movie is rare. But I think an 8's reasonable. I would maybe put it even maybe a little bit closer to a 9, but that's just because I love Iron Man as a character.
Yeah.
And the movie has its faults. There's some, I think, generalizations that are made with some of, like, the terrorists that, like, they just rely on maybe some stereotypes a little bit. But other than that, I think it's a really great movie.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
All right. Well, let's talk more. Something that I've been thinking about as it relates to Doomsday, which we have to address this, is the fact that Robert Downey Jr. is playing Doctor Doom, coming off of Tony Stark's death in Endgame.
Yeah. I'm very worried / excited to see what the explanation is going to be, if any.
Right. I mean, there's theories that say that he might not even take off his mask for the entirety of Doomsday. He might not even remove it until Secret Wars.
Yeah.
And that might not even be a plot point until the next Avengers movie. And so, maybe there's something along the lines of something changed in history that caused him to turn evil. Maybe he won't be Victor Von Doom. Maybe he'll be Tony Stark as Doctor Doom.
It's possible. I mean, I think the Russos have said a couple times, specifically Victor Von Doom.
Well, yeah.
But again, who knows what's accurate, what's a red herring.
And there's comics where, Tony Stark was adopted. And so maybe, like, something changed in the timeline where he wasn't adopted by the Starks. He was adopted by the Von Dooms.
Who knows?
And who knows? We could sit here and go back and forth on that. But it would be cool to see Iron Man at some level in this movie.
Yeah, I think you have to have some level of connection.
Well, yeah, because Iron Man is the first movie. He was the first character in this grand universe, in this grand experiment that they had. And so it's hard not to reference him in any way. Yeah. And I mean, in the Spider-Man movies have really struggled with that, I think. I think their biggest Achilles heel, not that I'm saying I don't like them, I love those movies, but their biggest Achilles heel is that they keep having to reference the fact that Tony Stark existed. Yeah. And
because he was just such a big mentor figure.
He was such a big part of this Peter's life. And, we'll probably get to that moment again when Doomsday is happening and Tony Stark isn't around to help the team. And it's, well, what do we do without Tony in an Avengers level threat situation? Right. So, there's lots of interesting things that we can think about as it relates to that. But I want to talk about something really fun. So here's my hypothetical for you today. Okay. Let's just say that Iron Man's in this movie or he's in Secret Wars at some level. Who is the one character that you have to think about? What would Iron Man do against this person? Magneto, exactly. So my question for you is, in a fight, who would win, Magneto or Iron Man?
I would have to say Magneto, because, yes, in the comics, Iron Man, at certain points, I'm pretty sure he's built, non-metal suits. Sure, yeah. But if we're talking about in the MCU or the multiverse... Yeah, okay. I feel like Magneto would win.
So I've done my research and I've thought this through.
Okay.
I think Magneto would win, but not for the reasons that you're saying.
Okay, tell me why.
Because it's stated in this first Iron Man movie that he uses a gold titanium alloy.
Mm-hmm.
Gold and pure titanium individually are both non-magnetic.
Okay.
And so together, Tony has created a non-magnetic suit. And so he would be able to push back against Magneto and fight in that way. But Magneto still has the upper hand.
Yeah.
Because Iron Man, well, if we're talking core Iron Man, if we're talking Iron Man from this movie, Iron Man has metal shards in his heart.
He does have, I was going to say, he's got the shards. Also, is it fully gold and titanium? Are there elements that are metal? Who knows? Nanotech?
But
like
then,
if we go further along the timeline.
Well, yeah. What is nanotech? But then let's keep thinking about it even more. So, in Iron Man 3, Tony has the metal shards removed.
Yeah, the surgery.
And so it's like, okay, well then now he doesn't have the arc reactor. He doesn't have that going on for him.
Yeah.
So maybe he would. But I think ultimately Magneto,
it maybe wouldn't be the straight up takedown what you would assume.
Right. I don't think he would be able to control Iron Man's armor in the way that you would assume. However, I think Magneto just has the raw power needed to take down Iron Man.
Oh yeah, because he could use any number of other things in the environment, and
right,
sure,
and you know, maybe Tony comes up with a plan, and I'm sure he would, being one of the smartest people in Marvel, and having Reed Richards around and Spider-Man and all of these other like high functioning scientists, Bruce Banner, you know, like I'm sure there would be some level of like, okay, they could probably figure something out to take down Magneto. But I don't think it would be as straightforward as, oh, Magneto rips the armor off of Iron Man. No, because in the comics, and in this movie at least, he says he has a gold titanium alloy, which is non-magnetic.
I know we just said we weren't going to talk about how awesome this movie is a bunch, and like that was a great conversation. But what is the one scene in this movie that gives you chills every time?
Oh, gosh. I mean, armoring up in the red and gold for the first time, and him going out to take down the terrorists who are after the refugees.
Yeah,
you know, when he flies in and he shoots the rocket at the tank and then turns away and it blows up.
I mean,
and then the terrorists have all the refugees as hostages, and he singles them out and
that is up there for me.
It's so good, man.
I have to tell you, rewatching this movie recently, I will always get chills at the press conference at the very end.
Yeah.
When he says, I am Iron Man.
Yeah.
And the entire crowd erupts and the credits roll. That's one of the greatest
and MCU, it plays I am Iron Man.
It's one of the greatest MCU movie endings of all time. It was the first one ever. Which is so great. It's how the movie ends, but it's also how the MCU starts.
Yeah.
It's also how his entire journey ends, because they're his final words in Endgame.
Yep.
And it's just so dang good.
Well,
this is the last thing I'm going to say about the whole Iron Man thing. Do you remember the first time we saw Iron Man?
Yeah, we were on our way to Hawaii. I think it was the second time.
Family vacation.
And we were on a plane. And I remember we hadn't seen it yet because our parents had a habit of watching movies first.
Yeah.
And then
at the time I was like 12, you were 10?
Yeah, I was 10 years old. And so our parents would watch movies first, right?
Yeah.
And then decide what scenes we couldn't watch. But on a plane, they couldn't do that. And they were showing Iron Man. And I remember at the time, superheroes were not as popular as they are today.
Yeah, and like we had seen the
thanks
Spider-Man
in large
movies.
part to the Iron Man movies and the Dark Knight movies. And so I remember sitting in a plane and being able to like kind of hear the movie, but not really.
Yeah.
But like watching it like on the screen, and it wasn't on like the back of a seat. It was a big screen that everybody could look at.
Yeah, it was different.
It was different, and then you would have like little microphones like in your chair.
Yeah.
And it was so awesome.
Oh my gosh.
It was so
good.
great.
It would have been so much better if that had been the movie on the way back home. Because I remember the fact that we watched it on the way to Hawaii, and then we spent like the first 2 days of our trip just talking about the movie and freaking out about how cool it was.
Yeah.
It's very cool. And so I am always thinking about that when the Iron Man ends and how exciting it was.
Yeah, because I remember sitting in the airplane seat, and you have that post-credit scene where Nick Fury comes up, and he's talking about the Avengers Initiative.
And being massive Star Wars fans, we're like, oh my gosh, it's Samuel L. Jackson.
Well, yeah, there's that part.
As being that young, that's all we knew really about Samuel L. Jackson.
But I remember sitting there and him saying the words Avenger Initiative and trying not to absolutely lose it in my airplane seat.
Out.
And just what that implied.
Oh my gosh.
And the possibility. And it wasn't even really yet like a plan. And
I think they had big hopes and said, we're going to see how far we can go with this.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's just like, oh my gosh. You think about that, and then you think about the fact that Robert Downey Jr. is coming back as Dr. Doom. Well, and I think about memories like that, and I'm like, okay, this could be really cool. This could be awesome.
Right.
That's why I have hope for Doomsday.
Well, it's hard to see a Marvel Cinematic Universe without that Robert Downey Jr. Tony Stark.
Mm-hmm.
And so as we move forward in doing movies without him in a universe where he doesn't necessarily exist, I mean, we've seen a little bit of, people call it superhero fatigue, but I don't think superhero fatigue is real. No. I think people are tired of subpar movies.
Yeah.
And
that's my thoughts exactly.
I think a part of the reason why the MCU has been struggling in recent years is they've lost a lot of what makes or what made phase 1 of the MCU so special.
Yeah.
And that was because they were trying different things.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't try to make the same movie every time with the same formula. Mm-hmm. They were trying to create almost different genres.
Yep.
Because we have this first movie with Iron Man that feels very like grounded and believable, and it almost has like this tactile feel to it, where like you could see these things happening in the world today.
Yeah.
And then we get the Incredible Hulk movie, which is very similar, but also it's very like more horror oriented in a way.
Yeah, and you've got the whole fugitive stuff.
Yeah.
With Bruce Banner running from the government.
And then we get Thor, which is this great Norwegian epic of like heroes, but then they're in Arizona, and it's like and then we get Captain America, which is a period piece, and then all of a sudden these all come together. And I think what makes the MCU special is when we can do these different things and not rely on large amounts of comedy or just doing the same formula and filming it the exact same way. Yeah. I think having a large variety of filmmakers and creators working on these things, I think that's what makes the MCU really fun and really special. And I don't think we've gotten that recently.
No, the best thing about it, especially when you look at the first two phases, because I'm going to include phase 2 in there, because at one point we had a political thriller from a space opera to a heist movie, like really cool stuff.
I don't think there's a bad movie from Iron Man through Age of Ultron, and even further than that too.
Yeah, but no, absolutely right. And it's that individual distinction while still maintaining the universe interconnectivity.
Right.
It's why there's nothing quite like the MCU.
Well, and it's the idea of taking a risk and then not just like, oh, we're going to do this halfway. No, we're going to do a risk and we're going to be confident in it.
Yeah.
And I see that in things like Shang-Chi, which, Shang-Chi has its ups and downs. And I'm not totally like 100% on board with everything that they do in that movie. But it was really cool in that they didn't try to do the same thing that a lot of other movies had done. They took some risks, and some of those things were good, some of those things were bad. But it's the idea that you're not just taking a risk and like kind of doing it halfway.
Yep.
It's putting your full self into it. And that's why like Ant-Man was so cool, because it's like, we're going to do this heist movie and we're going to play this character in a way that is believable and is kind of a joke, but we're gonna make it. We're gonna take him seriously at the same time,
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
and this
yeah.
is gonna be really cool. And then we get things like the Eternals, which is kind of like on the flip side of that, where I feel like they didn't commit in a way that gave the opportunity for characters to be likable.
I think it had a unique. Real quick with the Eternals, I think it had a unique tone. I think they were just kind of stretched too thin. They did not have enough runtime for the amount of characters that they had.
Well, and they
it,
were sorry.
It all kind of just felt really rushed.
Well, and I felt like they were taking a lot of risks on a lot of different stuff with that movie, but they didn't just pick one thing to really hone
really
in on.
commit to. Yeah, I think you're right.
And coming back to the movie that we're talking about today, Iron Man is good because it took such a good risk on an actor like Robert Downey Jr. And he nailed it. He put everything he had into this role.
Blows my mind that he never got an Oscar as Iron Man.
I mean, he was phenomenal.
Yeah.
And they created this believable world that was built around who Tony Stark was.
Yep.
And if they didn't do it in a way where they weren't fully committed, I don't believe it would have worked.
No, yeah.
But they choose to
take...
take...
You don't have any of the rest of this had Iron Man not been so good and so bold.
Yeah. And they choose to take Tony Stark seriously. They choose to take Iron Man and the terror situation and the idea of the Stark Industries and all of that, which could have been played in a more campy, goofier superhero way.
Yeah.
Which was kind of the standard for a lot of superhero movies for a long time.
Especially if you think about, like, even the Sam, as great as it is, the Sam Raimi Spider-Man trilogy.
Yeah.
That's a little bit more campy than compared to Iron Man.
Right. And I think it really, really worked.
Oh, yeah.
And you're getting a movie like this at the same time that we're getting movies like The Dark Knight. Because those came out the same year, correct?
Yes.
And so we have Iron Man and The Dark Knight, which is two top-notch superhero movies. They're in most everybody's top 10 superhero movies.
Yeah.
And they are played from a standpoint of these are characters first and they're superheroes second.
Yes.
And I think it is so incredibly compelling.
You could not have had a better foundation.
No,
Straight up.
You couldn't ask for a better one.
It's the reason why we've had coming up now close to 2 decades of just nonstop superhero movies.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
And it pushes other superhero movies to be better, regardless of whether or not they actually are better.
Yeah.
But, you know...
They're still the standard, yeah.
Marvel pushes other studios to create content. And more content, I think, is always appreciated.
Yeah, well, especially just with, like, the nerd stuff that we like, whether it's Star Wars or, you know, there's DC stuff. You know, you're 100% right.
Okay, well, I think that Iron Man, I think, is a great place to start as we talk about the MCU movies because it's one that is fun to talk about.
Yeah. I want to talk about this more when we get more into, like, the multiversal stuff, but especially after rewatching this, I have a pretty strong feeling that whatever the explanation is for Robert Downey Jr. returning as Dr. Doom, I have a strong feeling it might connect to the idea that Tony Stark was maybe the anchor being for the main MCU.
And yes, and as we think about, okay, what are things that they've set in place?
I know you think differently. But...
Well, I don't necessarily think differently. I think that there's just another option that's viable. And so if we kind of work it out a little bit, and I've done a lot of, like, trying to figure out how the multiverse in the MCU works and functions.
Right. Yeah.
And there'll be other episodes in the podcast where
we'll deep dive
we kind of map it out and we look at it a little bit more. So when we talk about, like, Doctor Strange, Multiverse of Madness, when we get to things like Loki, we can have that conversation. But in Deadpool and Wolverine, they introduced the concept of anchor beings. Beings that without them in the universe that they reside, that universe collapses.
So, for instance, Hugh Jackman's Wolverine.
Yes.
In the Fox universe.
And when he dies in Logan, that causes the universe to collapse.
I have this thought that it could be Tony Stark, especially when you look at, like, the modern day
Right.
MCU timeline and the start of the Avengers and superheroes.
Right.
It starts with Tony Stark.
Yes.
In universe.
And I think there's two ways to look at it. I think there's the way to look at it from viewers watching this universe,
Mm-hmm.
and then from inside the universe looking at who the characters are
Yeah.
and where they come from. So the first perspective, as viewers looking at it, it feels very natural to look at Iron Man as the anchor being, right?
Mm-hmm.
His movie was the one that started it all. We wouldn't have these other movies without him.
Mm-hmm.
He is the through line from Iron Man all the way through Avengers to Avengers 2 to Civil War to Endgame.
He might not have been the first superhero, but he was in universe the first in the modern era.
From our perspective, chronologically,
Yeah.
he was the first MCU superhero.
Yeah.
And then the second perspective is from in-universe and looking at it as characters and where they develop from. The other option is to look at Captain America as an anchor being.
Which is also could be possible.
That's because, we look at characters like Wolverine and the Hulk, and those are all characters in the comics, at least, who have come out of the Super Soldier program.
Mm-hmm.
And actually, in the Incredible Hulk, it's pretty much confirmed that Hulk was a continuation.
And I definitely want to talk about that more when we get into Hulk next week and when we get into First Avenger after that.
Yes.
I think it was a good spot.
Hold on. Let me finish. Let me finish my thought. And so Hulk wouldn't exist without Captain America. And Iron Man as a character, right? He's very defined by who his father was, Howard Stark. And Howard Stark is really defined by Captain America. And all of S.H.I.E.L.D. came out of a place of Captain America's story.
Right.
And we get characters like Bucky, who is all in reference to Captain America. And so the Thunderbolts might not have happened without Captain America.
Yes.
And so as we look ahead to Doomsday and what kind of multiversal shenanigans are happening, when we look at the concept of core anchor beings and how they fit into the universe, there's an idea that maybe Doom needs anchor beings in order to create this new world that he wants to save everybody from. I'm almost done. I'm almost done.
I think you're absolutely right.
And so maybe he's collecting anchor beings, and I think this for me comes out of a place of Captain America's story and the way that it ends in Endgame with him going back in time to live his life with Peggy. I think that's such a good ending that there has to be a worthwhile reason for him to get back into the fight.
Yep.
And maybe that's because he's forced to, because he's an anchor being, and without him, the universe falls apart.
Mm-hmm.
And we know he's in the movie. We've seen his trailer. And so it's this idea that maybe Captain America has to leave this life that he's found behind. He has to make that sacrifice again to be the guy who lays on the wire so that the other person can crawl over him.
Yes.
And so we have these ideas. Oh, maybe it's Iron Man. Maybe it's Captain America. A lot of people also think, oh, maybe it could be Spider-Man because he's such he's just such an essential character to the MCU too. Mm-hmm. So all of that to say, Iron Man is important to the story at some level. If they were bringing Robert Downey Jr. back just for the shock factor, I think that's a waste of time.
Yep.
I think that is a poor decision. I think you're doing something that is unneeded. I think it's ruining Iron Man's story at the end of Endgame. I think all of that is
there's gotta be a meaningful reason.
There has to be a purpose, and it can't just be for us as an audience as the shock factor. It needs to actually affect the story of the movie.
Yep.
So, all that to say, who knows what's going to happen, but
we'll dive,
it better mean something.
We'll dive into it more as we get closer.
RDJ being Doom better mean something.
I hope so. The whole legacy starts here, and I just want that legacy to be enhanced and not feel diminished in any way.
Right. And what I need them to do, though, is once we get through these Doomsday and Secret Wars movies, let's stop with the Iron Man.
Put it to bed.
I love Iron Man. He's one of my all-time favorite superheroes.
Yeah.
But when we keep coming back to him, we're holding ourselves back from telling more and interesting new stories.
Yep.
Like Iron Man had the chance to be. Let's tell new character stories.
I really want them to lean in hard with X-Men and stuff. I think that's the logical way to go.
Absolutely.
But, got some news.
Yep.
Want to wrap up with news?
Yep. Let's wrap it up.
Okay. Spider-Man Noir trailer released.
It was so cool.
It looked really good.
Are you gonna watch it in black and white or the chroma?
Oh, I'm gonna watch it black and white first, and then I'll watch it in color.
I feel like you have to, but I do like the idea of it looking like a painting, and it being like a very like melancholy, like, but still vibrant. So I think that's cool. But it's Spider-Man Noir.
Yeah.
It's literally
the shot of
black
him,
and white.
The shot of him web slinging.
Yeah.
It's very exciting.
I think it's cool. I think, we're going to be able to see some characters that we haven't seen yet. And who knows what Sony's been doing with their IP. And so,
yeah. Well, I think this is a sign they're on the right track. I mean, there was a report goes into the next point. Spider-Gwen, Spider-Punk. There's 2 spin-off projects that are reportedly in development.
Yeah, I guess. I feel like Sony has a habit of just not. I feel like they get so like desperate to use their IP sometimes.
That's how it feels sometimes, yeah.
And a couple years ago we got we're gonna get Hypno Hustler, and we're gonna get was it El Muerte with the wrestler?
Yes.
And it's like, what? Why? And like I get that like you had some cool people attached to those projects, but you haven't done anything with a live action Spider-Man since. I mean, besides Tom Holland and the MCU stuff.
You take away animation and you take away the stuff with the MCU. The last time we had a on-screen live-action Spider-Man was Andrew Garfield in 2014.
Yeah, and it's just
Nicolas Cage will be the first one. That's like 12 years.
Which is it feels like they're making decisions based off of like they're putting ideas in a jar and pulling them out.
Yeah.
Which I'm so grateful for this Spider-Man Noir show. I think it's been great, but it's like, what?
Yeah.
I mean, like, why are we getting this instead of something else? But I think it'll be really good.
No, yeah. Be prepared. There's a lot of like different images coming out from different brands and stuff.
Yeah.
Spider-Man Brand New Day is coming out, so like
if you don't want spoilers, I mean, lock down your Instagram and TikTok. I mean,
some of this is coming from merch that's going to be released really soon. Yeah. So like some looks at like some couple villains like Boomerang, Tarantula,
and I'm sure we'll get
Scorpion,
like Lego set pictures and Hasbro pictures sooner rather than later.
Those are all coming down the pike.
Yep.
They released the in-universe Wonder Man trailer.
Yeah, I saw that
from like the '80s version. That was pretty cool to see.
That was fun. That was cool to see.
I thought that was cool. Hemsworth talked a little bit about a Thor Loki reunion.
Mm-hmm. I saw he also talked about his daughter on set of Doomsday.
Yes, and that she like didn't want to be there, and he like bribed her, helping her get like a dirt bike or something.
It's like, girl, you are in one of the biggest franchises
also, like,
of all time.
For her, it's like, I'm going to work with my dad.
Yeah.
It's pretty funny.
I'm sure looking back, 10 years from now, she'll be like, that was great.
Yeah. There was a report from Hollywood Reporter saying that there's going to be Reeves the Batman and the DCU Batman. Like, DC is going to, I mean, it just makes sense, but DC is going to try really hard to make them look very visually distinct from each other.
I think they, and I think that's the right way to go.
Here,
I know a lot of people want to see Corn Sweat and Pattinson in the same universe.
It's not going to happen.
I don't think that's the way to go. I think Pattinson's universe is just so rich enough by itself that if you put Superman in there, it would cheapen the stakes of the Batman franchise.
It made me think about like what the costume is going to look like for the DCU Batman. I don't think I would mind it if he had like a kind of like a dark blue.
Yeah, I could see it.
Cowl and cape, and then the gray.
Yeah.
I'm also desperate for a live action Batman to have like the white lenses for the eyes.
That'd be very cool
because I think that just makes him scarier.
I mean, here's the deal: if we're getting a Batman who's a little bit older, who maybe has Damian Wayne already
as his current Robin,
I mean, that brings in so many opportunities to have Nightwing, Red Hood,
a lot of history,
and that's cool. And like those stories, I think, especially the Red Hood story, I think we've seen a lot of in the past 10 years.
Yeah.
And 15 years more like. And so I don't think we need to see that again. I mean, a lot of general audiences probably don't know, but a lot of like the comic book, like really like hardcore people like Yeah, we don't need to
Yeah.
know. Just give us the Bat family.
Mm-hmm.
That's what a lot of people want to see.
Yeah. Supergirl is taking over Superman Day this year.
Oh.
Because it's going to be right ahead of the Supergirl movie
Makes
in
sense.
June. Which
That
I think
tracks.
I think they'll do some fun stuff. That might be more on like a comic book level, but it'll be fun to see kind of
Yeah, it should
what
be fun.
new stuff they try.
Probably some variant covers and some stuff like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Should be cool.
Other than that, those are kind of the biggest stories I had.
Yeah.
I think that'll wrap us up for this episode.
Yeah, for sure. So next week, Incredible Hulk. That's where we'll be. Fun movie, really interesting.
I like it more than most people.
I like it a lot, actually.
Yeah, it's fun.
And we'll talk all about that next week and our opinions on Edward Norton versus Mark Ruffalo and
Hulk in the MCU.
MCU.
What his future looks like.
Who knows? But yeah, that's it. Make sure to watch Hulk before the next episode, and we will see you next time. But be sure to check our watch list, which is linked in our descriptions, and you can also check out Kevin's articles in that same area.
Yeah, plenty of connected Super Rant articles as well.
All right, that's all we've got. See you next time.
See ya.
Thank you for listening to Super Rant Season 1 Doomsday Preppers. Look out for our following episode next Friday. And remember to watch the upcoming movie before listening. You can find a link to our watch schedule on our YouTube page.